Hey everyone, this is Kevin the Entrepreneur, and in what has become an all Lyft news day, barring some other strange event that happens, Lyft has actually decided they want to be upfront about what drivers are making. They have released their own study on what they believe drivers make using the Lyft platform, and of course, it sounds wonderfully fantastical as well as completely unrealistic in many, many ways. So according to this article by The Verge, the amount someone can earn driving for Uber and Lyft has been the subject of intense debate in recent years. Actually, not really, because it seems like everybody other than people who work for Uber and Lyft agree they're not making much, and they're certainly not making enough, and that things need to change. Oh, I take it back. There are some people who probably don't believe that. It's probably the people who rely on Uber and Lyft to get everywhere. They believe the drivers are making enough money, either because they, don't want the prices to go up, or they don't realize exactly how much of that fare is going to the companies and not the drivers. So they probably don't think, they probably think the drivers are doing quite fine. But now Lyft is bringing some clarity to the conversation around how much drivers earn on an hourly basis. In short, it's complicated. Because of course, it can't not be complicated. What happened to 20%? That was very, very easy to understand. Very easy to understand. What's so complicated about that? Well, let's continue. First, Lyft says that the driver work generally breaks down into 3 sections: turning the app on and waiting for requests, driving to pick up passengers, and driving passengers to their destinations. Okay? The ride-hailing company says that since drivers can generally do whatever they want during that first period, driving, working for another app, or nothing at all, it shouldn't count towards a driver's hourly earnings. That one actually you can debate. I would argue that if the app is on, you are kind of on the hook, but since you can deny trips, that one probably is a little bit complicated because, if you didn't deny a trip, would you get paid for that time? Yeah. Let's see here. The ride-hailing company says that since... Okay, sorry. In that respect, just accounting for periods 2 and 3, Lyft drivers' median earnings are $29.47 an hour nationally, and $31.18 an hour in the company's top 25 markets. You see, I would love to know what the average trip is for them to come to that math. I mean, that actually sounds like what you could make, the most you could make, if for the whole hour you were driving in distance and time. Otherwise, that's pretty difficult to do unless you have prime time, which, as you may have saw from an earlier video, they're effectively killing. But Lyft also wants to be fully transparent, so it also shared its estimate that covered the first period of time, which is turning on the app and waiting for requests. Factoring that in, Lyft says drivers' median earnings are $18.83 an hour nationally and $21.08 an hour in the top 25 markets. And that sounds a little bit more realistic. However, the MIT study about Uber and Lyft is pretty much the same thing. They cost the same, they have the same drivers, and Uber actually is a little bit busier. And they determined that if you were an Uber driver, you're making an average of $8.83 an hour after the expenses were all accounted for. And here you have a little chart. I guess Lyft provided this. That sounds nice. But, if that's what people are making on average, why on earth is anyone complaining? That is better than most jobs pay. Heck, there are people who could leave very good jobs where you have to wear a suit and tie and make that kind of money. This is the regular Lyft, right? This isn't the Lyft Plus, like the luxury Lyft option. I don't know. Seems a little suspicious. Of course, this doesn't take into account driver expenses, such as insurance, fueling, cleanup, and other costs associated with ride-sharing driving. Of course, Lyft and Uber will always leave those things out of the conversation because who wants to bring those pesky things in and ruin the numbers? Lyft says it prefers Harry the rideshare guy Campbell's estimates of $3 to $5 an hour. Okay. So, I think if I'm reading this correctly, Harry Campbell estimates that when you take those expenses into account, you're making $3 to $5 less an hour. I don't know. I mean, I don't think Harry has ever estimated that low, to my knowledge. If I'm wrong, he's free to tell me, or maybe someone can share the article which he said that, because I mean, considering the gas costs $3.50 a gallon, it seems like that should be much more. But okay, let's say that is true. So in that case, they're making $13.83 an hour. That's a little more than minimum wage, but not by a whole lot. The topic of hourly earnings in the world of ride-sharing is extremely touchy, which it shouldn't be. It really shouldn't be. I mean, earnings were not that touchy of a subject early on. Early on, the question, when people wrote articles about Uber and Lyft's earnings, they just wanted to mention, by the way, you might be making pretty good money, but you have to keep these expenses in mind, and you have to, budget for them, and you have to plan for them. Now, all people write about is how terrible it was, and now you're being paid terribly, and you still have the expenses, and they're going up. So, it's nowhere near a good situation for most people. An Uber study in early 2015 said its drivers in 20 cities average more than $19 an hour, but a BuzzFeed survey later found Uber drivers in Denver, Detroit, and Houston earning less than $13.25 an hour after expenses. In Detroit, they brought home just $8.77 an hour on average, which that seems a lot more appropriate to me. There's an ad for phone. A recent MIT study found Uber and Lyft drivers to be earning far below the minimum wage after factoring in expenses. The study by the MIT Center for Energy and Environmental Policy Research found that drivers' median pre-tax profit was $3.37 per hour, using results from a survey of more than 1,100 workers of the ride-hailing companies, and that, by the way, was way too low. Even I admitted that. Uber and Lyft, sensitive to reports that drivers are underpaid, objected sharply to the study's methodologies. MIT later said it would revisit its study after a tweet challenged by Uber CEO Dara K. I think I can pronounce it correctly, but I'm not going to try. Lyft's statement about driver earnings comes on the heels of a slew of new announcements from Uber, including a redesigned app for drivers and an overhaul of the company's safety protocols. Okay, so let's what happened there? Okay, let's go back to this this chart. Let's go back to this chart and let's talk about what's going on right now. It's very good that they mentioned this comes off the heels of Uber's redesigned app, because what were drivers frustrated about? Where are the rate increases? Why aren't we going to make more money? Lyft is not actually raising the rates. They're not taking less from the drivers, but what are they saying? Hey, you could potentially make this much money. Come drive for us. It's a mind game. And yet it works. This is one of the reasons why Lyft appears to be the nicer company. 1,000 rides, you get a jacket. Comments on the YouTube, they're not disabled. And then, hey, when Uber's talking about a new app, Lyft is talking about earnings. Perception that they are nicer. Now, of course, these numbers are inaccurate. Most people are not making $18 an hour. Sometimes you do. I'm not going to say you don't ever. But at the wages they're charging, it's very difficult. And I tell you, when the gas is $3.50 a gallon, and rideshare insurance is on the rise, and there's that $2,500 deductible that you just have to save in case something goes wrong, it's not helping. Also, because of Uber's stunt, the discussion of wages have been discussed more and more by Congress, by the media, by people like me. And so whenever that happens, Uber and Lyft are quick to point out how much you could potentially earn while avoiding the stark realities of how much people do earn. And I am working on a montage video of sorts where someone has been very gracious to be sharing with me what his take home has been from Uber rides. And yeah, when you look at how much they're not making, it's appalling. But this is what they're trying to do. They're trying to convince drivers that they are going to pay them enough money while doing nothing to actually change the payments so that they do make decent money. And it would be very easy for them to pay the drivers enough and still make money for themselves. Heck, here's the thing. People keep saying, keep asking, Uber and Lyft can't raise the rates. No one will use them. You know what? When they launched, the rates were higher. They were still cheaper than the taxi company, and people used them. If it worked once, why can't it work again? But you know what? We're going to end there. We're just going to end there because there's frankly not much more to say at this point. So what do you guys think of Lyft's big announcement? Do you agree with the numbers? Do you disagree? I'd love to know. Comment below, like, favorite, share, subscribe. If you enjoyed the videos I make, consider becoming a Patreon for $1 a month. And as always, flame responsibly. Have a good one.